On a bustling Saturday morning at the corner bean Maya, a quiet young woman holding a small birthday cake, her prosthetic leg concealed beneath her jeans, stepped softly into the crowd. When the server announced there were no tables left, disappointment flooded her eyes as she turned to leave. Yet at that precise moment, Matthew, a gentle black man sitting with his young daughter Stara, stood up and invited her to join them. Seconds later, Stara burst into happy birthday, prompting the entire cafe to sing along, enveloping Maya in an unexpected warmth that marked a destiny-altering turning point she never saw coming. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from, and subscribe, because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. The morning sun poured through the tall windows of the corner bean like liquid gold, turning the Saturday crowd into silhouettes against the light. Matthew Cooper sat with his daughter at their usual corner table, watching her bounce in her seat with that restless energy only 7-year-olds possess. "And Mom said we might see the baby elephants." Stara's words tumbled out in an excited rush, her hands gesturing wildly as she described next weekend's zoo trip. She said if we're lucky we can watch them get a bath. "Can you believe it, Dad? A whole elephant getting a bath." Matthew grinned, reaching over to tuck a loose strand of dark hair behind her ear. "That sounds amazing, sweetheart. Make sure you take lots of pictures for me, okay? I will. Mom's bringing her fancy camera." Stara took a huge bite of her chocolate chip muffin, getting crumbs all over her chin. She said I can help her set it up. "Dad, do you think elephants like having their picture taken?" "I think they probably love it," Matthew said, handing her a napkin with a gentle laugh, "especially when they're all clean and shiny." The cafe hummed with conversation and the hiss of the espresso machine. Every table was packed with weekend regulars, laptops, newspapers, and the pleasant chaos of people enjoying their Saturday morning. Matthew took a sip of his coffee content in this small pocket of normalcy when the door chimed again. She struggled with the door, at first her crutch catching on the threshold. A young white woman with natural curls pulled back in a loose bun, wearing a simple gray cardigan over jeans. She held a small white bakery box in one hand while trying to maneuver the crutch with the other. Her eyes scanned the crowded room with a mixture of hope and resignation that Matthew recognized instantly, the look of someone expecting disappointment. The barista, a college kid with multiple piercings, looked up from the register and winced apologetically. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We're completely full right now. It might be about 20 minutes before something opens up." The woman's shoulders dropped slightly. She glanced down at the box in her hand, then back at the sea of occupied tables. "That's okay. Thank you anyway." She turned toward the door, moving slowly, carefully. Matthew watched her grip tighten on the crutch handle. Something in that small gesture, that quiet acceptance, made him move before he could overthink it. "Stara," he said softly, leaning toward his daughter, "how would you feel about sharing our table with someone who needs a place to sit?" Stara looked up from her muffin crumbs, still decorating her chin, and followed her father's gaze to the woman near the door. Her face brightened immediately. "The lady with the crutch. Of course, Dad. We have 2 whole empty chairs." Matthew stood up, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "Excuse me, miss." The woman paused, her hand already on the door handle. She turned back, eyebrows raised in surprise. "Our table's got plenty of room," Matthew said, gesturing to the empty chairs across from them. "You're more than welcome to join us if you'd like." Before the woman could respond, Stara popped up from her seat, waving enthusiastically. "Yeah, and we have the best spot in the whole place. You can see the street from here, and sometimes dogs walk by." The woman's expression shifted, moving through surprise, uncertainty, and then something that looked almost like relief. Are you sure I don't want to intrude on your morning?" "You wouldn't be intruding at all," Matthew said with an easy smile. "Honestly, my daughter's been talking my ear off about elephants for the past 20 minutes. I could use some adult conversation." "Dad," Stara protested, but she was grinning. The woman hesitated for just a moment longer, then a small smile broke across her face. "Well, if you're sure, thank you. Really." She made her way through the crowded cafe, navigating between chairs and people with practiced care. Matthew pulled out one of the empty chairs for her, and she settled into it with a soft exhale, propping her crutch against the table's edge. "I'm Matthew," he said, sitting back down, "and this is my daughter Stara." "Maya," the woman replied. She set the white box carefully on the table in front of her. "Thank you both so much. I've been walking around for a while trying to find a quiet place to sit." "Well, you found one," Stara announced, though the bustling cafe around them suggested otherwise. Except it's not really quiet. But it's nice. I like it when it's busy because you can watch people. That lady over there has been on her phone for like an hour. And that man brought his dog in, even though there's a no dog sign, but nobody said anything because it's really cute. Stara, Matthew said with gentle amusement, maybe let Maya catch her breath first. But Maya was already laughing, a genuine sound that seemed to surprise even herself. No, it's okay. I appreciate the insider information about the cafe dynamics. Stara beamed, clearly pleased to have made the stranger laugh. Her eyes drifted to Maya's hair. Your hair is so pretty, I wish mine would curl like that. Mine just goes everywhere when I try. Thank you, sweetheart. Maya reached up self-consciously to touch one of her curls. It took me years to figure out how to manage it properly. What's in your box? Stara asked, her natural curiosity unstoppable. Is it a muffin? Dad got me a chocolate chip one. It's really good. You should try the chocolate chip ones. Maya's hand moved to rest on top of the box, and something flickered across her face, a vulnerability that made Matthew want to change the subject to protect whatever private moment she'd been planning to have. But before he could redirect his daughter's attention, Maya slowly opened the lid. Inside sat a single cupcake chocolate with vanilla frosting and one unlit candle pressed into the top. Oh, Stara's eyes widened. Is someone having a birthday? Maya's smile was soft, almost wistful. Yeah. Me, actually. Today is my birthday. There was a beat of silence. Matthew felt his chest tighten, recognizing the weight of what Maya had just shared. She'd come here alone with a single cupcake, looking for a quiet corner to mark the day by herself. But Stara, beautiful in her 7-year-old innocence, didn't see tragedy. She saw celebration. Your birthday, she practically shouted, making several nearby patrons turn their heads. Dad, it's her birthday. We have to sing. Stara, Matthew started, but Maya was already laughing again, and this time there were tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. You really don't have to, Maya began. Of course we do, Stara insisted, already looking around for something to light the candle with. Dad, do you have a lighter or matches? We need fire. I don't carry those around, kiddo, Matthew said, but he was already catching the eye of the barista who'd been watching the exchange with interest. The young man grinned and grabbed a long lighter from behind the counter, walking it over to their table. Birthday? He asked Maya, who nodded, her hand pressed to her mouth, somewhere between laughing and crying. Birthday, Matthew confirmed. The barista lit the candle with a flourish. The small flame flickered in the morning light, casting tiny shadows across the white frosting. Stara didn't wait for permission or prompting. She started singing immediately, her voice clear and enthusiastic and completely off-key. Happy birthday to you. Matthew joined in, his deeper voice blending with his daughter's. Around them, other customers began to notice. A few joined in, then more. Within seconds, half the cafe was singing to this stranger, this woman who'd walked in alone with a single cupcake and found herself suddenly surrounded by voices. Happy birthday, dear Maya! Happy birthday to you! Maya sat frozen, the candle flickering in front of her, tears now streaming freely down her cheeks. But she was smiling, really truly smiling, in a way that transformed her entire face. Make a wish, Stara urged, bouncing in her seat. Maya closed her eyes, her lips moving silently for just a moment. Then she opened them, leaned forward, and blew out the candle. The cafe erupted in applause and cheers. Maya pressed her hands to her face, laughing through her tears. That was the best happy birthday song ever, Stara declared with absolute certainty. Right, wasn't it good? It was perfect, Maya said, her voice thick with emotion. She looked at Matthew, then at Stara, then back at Matthew. I can't believe you just... Thank you. Both of you. I didn't expect. Nobody should be alone on their birthday, Stara said matter-of-factly, as if this were the most obvious truth in the world. Right, Dad. Right, Matthew agreed softly, meeting Maya's eyes across the table. He saw gratitude there, but also something else, a kind of surprised wonder, as if she'd forgotten the world could be kind without reason. Maya wiped her eyes, laughing at herself. I probably look like a mess right now. You look happy, Matthew said simply, and she did. Despite the tears, despite whatever had brought her to this cafe alone with a single cupcake right now, in this moment, Maya looked genuinely beautifully happy. Can we have some cake? Stara asked, ever practical. You can't eat a whole cupcake by yourself on your birthday. That's sad. You should share it with your friends. Maya blinked, fresh tears threatening. Are we friends now? Obviously. Stara rolled her eyes in that dramatic way children do. We sang to you. That makes us friends. Right, Dad? Matthew pulled out his phone. Actually, before we eat the cake, let me get a picture of the birthday girl with her cupcake. Oh no, you don't have to. Maya started. Yes, he does, Stara interrupted. Every birthday needs pictures. My mom takes like 100 pictures on my birthday. She says memories are important. Something in Maya's expression shifted at the mention of a mother, but she nodded, repositioning the cupcake in front of her. Matthew snapped a few photos, then showed them to her. In the images, Maya sat bathed in morning sunlight, her curls catching the light, her smile genuine and unguarded. "These are really nice," she said softly. "I'll text them to you if you want," Matthew offered. They shared the cupcake, Maya insisting that Stara take the biggest piece, and fell into easy conversation. Stara carried most of it, asking Maya about her favorite animals and colors, and whether she preferred chocolate or vanilla, while Matthew watched his daughter work her particular magic of making strangers feel like old friends. Outside, the Saturday morning continued its rhythm. But inside the corner bean, at a table bathed in golden light, 3 people who'd been strangers 20 minutes ago shared a birthday cupcake, and the beginning of something none of them could have predicted. Matthew caught himself watching Maya as she laughed at something Stara said and felt something shift in his chest. Not attraction, not yet just recognition. The recognition of someone genuinely good, someone who deserved more than eating a birthday cupcake alone in a crowded cafe. "So," he said, surprising himself, "do you have any other birthday plans for today?" Maya's smile faltered just slightly. "Not really. I was just going to go home, maybe watch a movie." "That's boring," Stara announced. "Dad, we should do something. Can Maya come to the park with us? We're going to feed the ducks, remember?" Matthew glanced at Maya, ready to offer her an out if she wanted one. But she was looking at Stara with such open affection, such gratitude for the child's uncomplicated kindness. "I wouldn't want to intrude on your plans," Maya said. "You keep saying that," Matthew pointed out gently. "But I don't think you really would be. Would she, Stara? No way the ducks love when lots of people come. More people means more bread." Stara's logic was unassailable. Maya laughed, wiping frosting from her fingers with a napkin. "Well, when you put it that way." "Okay, if you're really sure." "We're sure," Matthew said, and meant it. As they gathered their things to leave, Maya carefully folded the candle from her cupcake into a napkin, tucking it into her pocket like a talisman. Matthew pretended not to notice, but something about that small gesture told him everything he needed to know about how much this morning had meant to her. They walked out together into the bright Saturday sunshine, Stara chattering between them about the ducks and the zoo and a dozen other things. And if Matthew held the door open a little longer than necessary, making sure Maya had plenty of room to navigate with her crutch, well, that was just basic kindness. The kind of kindness that sometimes changed everything. The park stretched out before them, a patchwork of green grass and walking paths dotted with families enjoying the warm afternoon. Maya walked between Matthew and Stara, her crutch tapping a steady rhythm on the pavement. She'd expected to feel awkward, like a third wheel intruding on their father-daughter time, but Stara made that impossible. "There they are." Stara pointed toward the pond, where a cluster of ducks paddled lazily near the shore. She grabbed the bag of breadcrumbs Matthew had stopped to buy from a street vendor and took off running, then stopped abruptly and turned back. "Maya, can you run? I mean, is it okay to ask that?" Maya smiled at the child's blunt honesty. "I can't run, sweetie, but I can walk pretty fast when I need to." "Okay, then I'll walk fast too so we can stay together," Stara declared, adjusting her pace to match Maya's. Matthew caught Maya's eye over his daughter's head, and she saw the apology there. She shook her head slightly, letting him know it was fine. More than fine, actually. Stara's directness was refreshing compared to the careful avoidance most people showed. They reached the pond's edge, and Stara immediately began tossing breadcrumbs to the ducks with enthusiastic abandon. The birds converged in a flurry of quacking and splashing. "Not all at once, Stara," Matthew reminded her gently. "Make it last." "But they're so hungry, Dad." Maya lowered herself onto a nearby bench, stretching out her leg with relief. Matthew sat beside her, keeping one eye on Stara as she inched closer to the water. "Thank you again," Maya said quietly, "for this morning. I know you didn't have to do any of that." Matthew turned to look at her fully. "You've said thank you about 6 times now. You can stop. I haven't had people sing to me on my birthday in a long time." Maya's voice caught slightly. "It meant something." "How long is a long time?" Maya watched the ducks, her fingers tracing the edge of the bench. 3 years. Since the accident that did this. She gestured to her leg. My family was in the car with me. My parents. My younger brother. I was driving. The words hung in the air between them. Matthew felt his chest constrict, but he didn't immediately rush to fill the silence with condolences. He'd learned through his own divorce that sometimes people just needed space to let the truth exist. The truck ran a red light. Maya continued, her voice steady now, like she'd told this story enough times to smooth out the rough edges. Head-on collision. I woke up in the hospital 2 weeks later. They told me about my family first, then about my leg. Honestly, the leg didn't seem important after that. Maya, Matthew started, I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad, she interrupted, looking at him now, or to be heavy on what's supposed to be a nice day. I wanted you to know why this morning mattered so much. For 3 years, I've spent my birthday alone because I couldn't stand the pity in people's eyes when they found out. But Stara didn't pity me. She just wanted to sing. Matthew nodded slowly. Stara doesn't really do pity. She just does people. She's remarkable. She is. Matthew paused, then decided to offer his own truth. I'm a single dad. Her mom and I divorced when Stara was 4. He watched Maya's expression carefully, waiting for the usual assumptions, the questions about what went wrong, the careful probing about custody battles or bitter feelings. Instead, Maya just said, that must have been hard. It was, but not in the way most people think. Matthew leaned back against the bench, watching his daughter throw breadcrumbs with wild enthusiasm. Lumen, that's my ex-wife, and I didn't have some big dramatic falling out. We just weren't right for each other as partners. We got married young, had Stara, and somewhere along the way realized we made better friends than spouses. That sounds surprisingly healthy, Maya said. It is now. Took some work to get there. Matthew smiled. Lumen's an artist. Incredibly talented, completely free-spirited, needs spontaneity to breathe. I'm a high school English teacher who color codes his lesson plans and feels anxious if dinner isn't eaten at a reasonable hour. We drove each other crazy in all the wrong ways. But you stayed friends. For Stara. At first, it was just for Stara. But over time, we genuinely rebuilt our friendship. Lumen lives 2 hours away. Right now, works at a gallery. Stara spends every other weekend with her plus holidays. They're super close. Maya absorbed this information, and Matthew could almost see her mentally revising whatever picture she'd painted of his life. Dad, look. Stara's voice cut through their conversation. That duck is eating right out of my hand. Be gentle, Matthew called back, but he was grinning. Your daughter seems really happy, Maya observed. She is. That's the thing most people don't get about divorce. They assume the kid must be traumatized or damaged somehow. But Stara's not. She has 2 parents who love her 2 homes where she feels safe and twice as many birthday presents. Matthew laughed. Her words, not mine. Dad, can Maya feed the ducks too? Stara was suddenly back at the bench, thrusting the bag of breadcrumbs at Maya. You have to. This one duck, the brown one with the white spot, he's super friendly. Maya took the bag, charmed by the girl's insistence. I'd love to. They moved closer to the water's edge, Matthew staying close in case Maya needed support on the uneven ground. She didn't ask for help, but she also didn't refuse when he offered his arm at a particularly tricky spot. Stara kept up a running commentary on each duck's personality, assigning them names and elaborate backstories. That one's definitely the leader. See how the others follow him. I'm calling him Captain. And that one with the funny walk is Professor Quackers because he looks wise. Professor Quackers, Maya laughed. That's perfect. I know right naming things is my special talent. Stara tossed more breadcrumbs. Mom says I get it from her. She names all her paintings. Last one was called The Space Between Dreams and Morning. I didn't really get it, but it sounded pretty. It does sound pretty, Maya agreed. They spent another hour at the park, conversation flowing easily between serious and silly. Stara asked Maya about her job, and Maya explained she was a graphic designer who worked from home. So you make pictures on computers? Stara's eyes lit up. That's so cool. Can you make pictures of anything? Pretty much anything. Logos, website designs, illustrations, whatever clients need. Could you make a picture of a duck wearing a crown? Stara, Matthew warned, but Maya was already pulling out her phone. I could sketch something quick right now if you want. Stara watched in fascination as Maya's finger moved across the screen, creating a simple but charming drawing of a duck wearing an elaborate crown. That's amazing, Dad, look. Matthew looked and he found himself impressed not just by the drawing but by how naturally Maya engaged with his daughter. No condescension, no forced enthusiasm, just genuine connection. The sun was starting to lower in the sky when they finally left the park. Stara had exhausted her supply of breadcrumbs and was starting to drag her feet, always a sign that her energy was finally depleting. "I should get her home," Matthew said. "Someone needs a nap before dinner." "I don't need a nap," Stara protested automatically, even as she yawned. "Of course not," Matthew said with exaggerated seriousness. "You're way too grown up for naps. You just need to rest your eyes for 30 minutes while lying down in your bed." Maya laughed. "Thank you both for including me today. This turned out to be the best birthday I've had in years." "You should come next Saturday," Stara blurted out. "We always do something fun on Saturdays, right, Dad?" Matthew hesitated, not wanting to pressure Maya, but also genuinely wanting to see her again. "You're welcome to join us anytime, but no pressure. I know you probably have your own I'd love to." Maya interrupted, surprising herself as much as them. "If you're sure I wouldn't be intruding." "You keep using that word," Matthew said with a smile. "I don't think it means what you think it means." "Princess Bride reference," Stara squealed. "Mom and Dad both love that movie. We watch it like every month when we're together." They exchanged phone numbers before parting ways, and as Matthew walked home with Stara's hand in his, he found himself thinking about Maya's smile when the cafe had sung to her, about the way she'd teared up at Stara's simple kindness, about how she'd shared her story without making it a plea for sympathy. "I like her, Dad," Stara said drowsily, leaning against him as they walked. "I like her too, kiddo." "Do you think she's lonely?" Matthew considered the question carefully. "Maybe sometimes, but I think she's also really strong." "She can be both," Stara said with the simple wisdom of children. "Being strong doesn't mean you don't want friends." "You're absolutely right." Matthew squeezed her hand. "When did you get so smart?" "I was born this way," Stara said matter-of-factly, making Matthew laugh. That night after Stara was asleep, Matthew found himself looking at the photos he'd taken at the cafe. Maya's face, lit by morning sun, genuinely happy for the first time in who knew how long. He didn't send them yet. Instead, he saved them, thinking about next Saturday, about second chances, about how sometimes kindness was its own reward. And sometimes it was the beginning of something more. Saturday became their day. Not intentionally at first, not with any grand plan or declaration. It just sort of happened the way good things often do, naturally, easily, like water finding its level. The second Saturday, they met at a farmer's market. Stara insisted on showing Maya the stand that sold honey sticks in different flavors, and they spent 20 minutes sampling each one while the vendor watched with amused tolerance. "The lavender one tastes like soap," Stara announced, scrunching her nose. "It's an acquired taste," the vendor said diplomatically. "That's adult speak for it's weird, but we pretend to like it," Stara whispered to Maya, not nearly as quietly as she thought. Matthew bought a jar of wildflower honey to apologize for his daughter's commentary, but the vendor was laughing too hard to be offended. The third Saturday, they went to a small art gallery where one of Lumen's pieces was on display. Matthew had mentioned it casually, and Maya had seemed genuinely interested in seeing it. "That's Mom's," Stara pointed excitedly at a large canvas covered in swirling blues and greens. "She calls it Remembering Water. I helped her pick the frame." Maya stood in front of the painting for a long moment, tilting her head as she absorbed it. "It's beautiful. You can almost feel the movement." "Mom says good art should make you feel something," Stara reported dutifully, "even if you don't know what the feeling is called." "Your mom sounds very wise." "She is. She's also really funny. Last time I visited, she let me help paint, and I got blue paint in my hair. We had to wash it 3 times. Stara giggled at the memory, and Matthew noticed how easily she talked about her mother, how secure she was in having 2 homes, 2 parents who loved her. They got coffee, afterward hot chocolate for Stara, and sat outside where they could watch street performers. "So you and your ex-wife are really okay?" Maya asked carefully. "Like genuinely okay, I'm not trying to pry, it's rare." Matthew nodded. "It took work. Therapy, both individual and together. Lots of awkward conversations about boundaries and expectations. But yeah, we're genuinely okay now. We talk at least twice a week about Stara, sometimes about other stuff too. She gives me advice on lesson plans sometimes. I help her with the business side of her art career." "That must be nice for Stara, having parents who can still be in the same room." "It's more than nice for her, it's everything." She doesn't have to pick sides or carry messages or feel guilty about loving one of us when she's with the other. Matthew took a sip of his coffee. My parents had a brutal divorce. I spent my whole childhood being a pawn in their war. I was determined not to do that to my kid. Maya stirred her coffee absently. My parents were married for 35 years, high school sweethearts, still held hands at the dinner table. Her voice caught. I used to think it was embarrassing when I was a teenager. Now I'd give anything to see it one more time. Stara, who'd been watching the juggler, turned back to them. Do you miss your family a lot? Stara Matthew started, but Maya shook her head. It's okay. Yes, sweetie, I miss them every day. But talking about them helps sometimes. Keeps them close. What was your brother like? His name was Lucas. He was 22 when he died, about to graduate from college. He wanted to be a veterinarian because he loved animals more than people. Maya smiled at the memory. He was always bringing home strays. We had 4 cats, 2 dogs, and at one point a rabbit that he swore was just visiting temporarily. What happened to them, the animals? Stara asked with genuine concern. Lucas's girlfriend took them. She loved him a lot. She sends me pictures sometimes of the cats. They're old now, but still causing trouble. Matthew watched Maya as she talked, noting how she'd learned to speak about her loss without drowning in it. Not healed, maybe never fully healed, but learning to carry the weight differently. The 4th Saturday, Maya invited them to her apartment. It was small, but bright, with plants on every windowsill and artwork covering the walls. Her workspace took up one corner of the living room, a large desk with 2 monitors, a drawing tablet, and organized chaos of sketches and color swatches. Wow, Stara breathed, taking it all in. You have so many pictures. I collect things I find inspiring, Maya explained. That one's from a museum in New York. That one's actually something I found in a thrift store. And that one, she pointed to a framed print of a woman with butterfly wings, was a gift from my brother for my birthday 6 years ago. It's beautiful, Matthew said, moving closer to examine it. He said it reminded him of me, something about transformation and strength. Maya's laugh was soft, self-deprecating. I didn't feel very strong back then. I was stressed about work, about paying bills, about stupid stuff that doesn't matter now. That's the thing about perspective, Matthew said quietly. We never know what matters until we can't get it back. They spent the afternoon teaching Stara basics of digital illustration on Maya's tablet. The girl took to it with enthusiasm, creating an elaborate picture of Professor Quackers, complete with a castle and a crown. You're a natural, Maya encouraged, adjusting Stara's grip on the stylus. See how you can control the line thickness by changing the pressure. Try that. Stara's tongue poked out in concentration as she worked. This is so much better than regular drawing. You can undo mistakes. If only life had an undo button, Maya said, then caught herself. Sorry, that got dark. No, it's true though, Matthew said. He was sitting on the couch watching them work together, and something in his chest felt warm and full. Although I'm not sure I'd undo everything even if I could, some mistakes teach us important things. Like what? Stara asked, not looking up from her drawing. Like how to be better the next time, how to forgive ourselves, how to know what we really want. He met Maya's eyes across the room. Sometimes the path we planned isn't the one we needed. The apartment smelled like the Thai food they'd ordered, and outside the evening was turning the sky shades of purple and orange. It felt domestic in a way that should have been uncomfortable given how recently they'd met, but instead felt easy. Natural. Can Maya come to my soccer game next week? Stara asked suddenly. It's on Wednesday, not Saturday, but you should come. I'm terrible at soccer, but it's fun anyway. Stara Maya might have work. I'd love to come. Maya interrupted, smiling at Stara's hopeful expression. I work from home, so my schedule's pretty flexible. Yes. Stara pumped her fist in the air, accidentally making a wild line across her digital canvas. Oops, good thing there's undo. By the 6th Saturday, they'd fallen into an easy rhythm. Matthew knew how Maya took her coffee, knew that she was quieter in the mornings and more animated after she'd had caffeine. Maya knew that Stara couldn't stand bell peppers but loved every other vegetable, knew that Matthew graded papers every Sunday night and got stressed if he fell behind. They were at the park again, different one this time, with a playground that Stara had been begging to visit. She was currently demonstrating her monkey bar skills to a level of commentary that suggested she'd missed her calling as a sports announcer. I'm going for the full run now, she called down. This is the advanced technique. Watch and learn. Please don't fall, Matthew called back. Where's your faith, Dad? Maya laughed, settling onto a bench in the shade. Matthew sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. He'd become aware lately of how often they ended up in each other's space, how natural it felt. Thank you for fixing my bookshelf, Maya said. You really didn't have to. It was wobbling dangerously. Another week, and your entire graphic design library would have been on the floor. Matthew stretched his legs out in front of him. Besides, I like fixing things. It's calming. Is that the teacher in you wanting to solve problems? Maybe. Or maybe it's just who I am. Lumen used to joke that I couldn't walk past a crooked picture frame without straightening it. Is that why the divorce happened? You being too structured? Matthew considered the question. Partly. I wanted routines, predictability, a 5-year plan. She wanted spontaneity, adventure, the freedom to change her mind. Neither approach is wrong. They just don't work well together in a marriage. He paused. We made Stara together, which is the best thing either of us ever did, but we were making each other miserable in the process. It must have been scary, though, choosing to leave. Terrifying. Even when you know it's the right choice, even when it's mutual, there's this moment of, what if we're making a huge mistake? Matthew turned to look at her. But sometimes the scariest thing is staying in something that's not working. Teaching yourself to settle because change is hard. Maya was quiet for a moment, watching Stara play. After the accident, when I was learning to walk again, the physical therapist told me that the body wants to heal. It's designed to adapt and recover, but you have to let it. You can't force it, but you also can't give up on it. Sounds like good advice for more than just physical therapy. That's what I thought too. She smiled, but there was something wistful in it. I'm still figuring out the emotional recovery part. Some days are better than others. Did you talk to someone after the accident? A grief counselor for a while. She helped me understand that survivor's guilt is real and normal and doesn't make me a bad person for working through it. Maya's hands twisted in her lap. The hardest part wasn't even the grief itself. It was feeling like I didn't deserve to move forward, like being happy again was somehow betraying their memory. And now I think they'd want me to be happy. My mom especially. She was always saying life's too short for regrets and playing it safe. Maya laughed softly, which is ironic given how it ended. But I think she'd be mad if she knew I'd spent 3 years hiding. You're not hiding anymore. No, I met this really pushy 7-year-old who decided we were friends. Maya's smile was genuine now. And her pretty great dad who let a stranger crash their Saturday mornings. Something passed between them in that moment, acknowledgement of what was growing between them. Not just friendship, though it was that too. Something more. Something patient and careful and full of potential. Dad, Maya, watch this. Stara was hanging upside down from the monkey bars, her face red with blood rushing to her head. That's very impressive, but please don't fall on your head, Matthew called back. I won't. I'm an expert. Famous last words, Maya murmured, making Matthew laugh. They stayed at the park until the sun started to set, until Stara had exhausted every piece of equipment and was lobbying hard for ice cream on the way home. They walked 3 abreast down the sidewalk, Stara in the middle holding both their hands and swinging between them. This was a good day, the girl announced. All our Saturdays are good, but this one was extra good. What made it extra good? Maya asked. Stara thought about it seriously. I don't know. It just felt really happy, like we all fit together right. Matthew caught Maya's eye over Stara's head, saw his own feelings reflected there, the surprise of it, the unexpected rightness of this connection they'd stumbled into. Yeah, Maya said softly, we really do. The weeks melted into each other like watercolors each Saturday, bringing them closer, the boundaries between their separate lives becoming increasingly blurred. Matthew found himself thinking about Maya during his lunch break, wondering if she'd tried that new coffee shop she mentioned. Maya caught herself buying an extra cookie at the bakery, knowing Stara would be delighted by the surprise. It was the small things that accumulated into something bigger. Maya taught Stara how to use layers in digital art watching with quiet satisfaction as the girl's confidence grew with each new technique. You're really good at this, she told Stara during one of their afternoon sessions. Have you thought about taking a real class? Mom said the same thing. She wants to teach me, but she does traditional painting. This is different. This is your thing. Stara looked up from the tablet, her expression suddenly serious. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think you'll keep hanging out with us, like even when it's not Saturday? Maya felt her throat tighten. Do you want me to? Yeah, you're like... Stara struggled for the right words. You're like part of our team now. It feels weird when you're not around. I feel the same way, sweetheart. And she did. That was the truth of it. She'd spent 3 years building walls, keeping people at a safe distance where they couldn't hurt her, couldn't leave her. But somehow this father and daughter had slipped past her defenses with nothing more than kindness and genuine care. Matthew noticed it too, the way Maya had become woven into the fabric of their lives. She knew where they kept the spare key, knew that Stara hated breakfast before 8 on weekends, knew that Matthew got quiet and withdrawn when he was stressed about work. She'd started bringing coffee to his classroom after school, sometimes staying to help him organize his book corner, while Stara did homework at one of the student desks. "You don't have to do this," he said one afternoon, watching her alphabetize his poetry collection. "I know, I want to." She glanced at him over her shoulder. "Is that okay? Tell me if I'm overstepping." "You're not. I just don't want you to feel obligated." "Matthew." She set down the book she was holding and turned to face him fully. "I'm here because I want to be, because being around you two makes me happy. Is that allowed?" He moved closer, drawn by something in her voice and her eyes. "It's definitely allowed." They stood there for a moment, close enough that Maya could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, could count the smile lines around his mouth. The air between them felt charged with possibility, with things unsaid but deeply felt. "Dad, I finished my math." Stara's voice broke the spell, and they stepped apart, both smiling at the interruption. "Let me check it," Matthew said, moving to his daughter's desk, but his eyes found Maya's one more time, a promise of continuation. The shift happened on a Thursday evening in late July. Matthew had texted earlier asking if she wanted to come for dinner, mentioning that Stara was at a friend's sleepover birthday party. Maya had almost said no, suddenly nervous about what it meant to see Matthew alone, but curiosity won out. She arrived at 7, wearing a sundress she'd changed out of, twice telling herself it didn't matter what she wore. This was just dinner with a friend. Matthew opened the door in jeans and a shirt, his hair slightly damp from a shower, and Maya felt her stomach do a small flip. "Hey," he said, his smile warm and slightly uncertain. "Come in. I made pasta. Hope that's okay. I'm not exactly a chef." Pasta's perfect. His apartment was tidy, but lived in with Stara's artwork covering the refrigerator and toys organized in colorful bins. A bookshelf dominated one wall, crammed with novels and poetry collections, and what looked like every young adult book ever written. "Occupational hazard," Matthew said, following her gaze. "I can't pass a bookstore without buying something. I'm the same way with art supplies. I have 3 drawers full of fancy pens I never use, but couldn't resist." They fell into easy conversation over dinner, but there was something different in the air tonight, an awareness that hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had been there all along, just waiting for them to acknowledge it. "Can I ask you something?" Matthew said as they cleared the dishes. "And feel free to tell me if I'm out of line." "Okay," Maya said cautiously. "Have you dated anyone since the accident?" Maya's hand stilled in the soapy water. "No, I haven't really wanted to." "Because of the physical stuff, or—" "At first, yeah. I didn't feel like myself in this new body. I couldn't imagine letting someone see me like this." She gestured to her leg. "But then it became more about not wanting to let anyone close enough to lose them. It felt safer to be alone." Matthew dried the dish she handed him, his movements careful and deliberate. "And now I think I've been lying to myself about what safe really means." She met his eyes. "Safe isn't the same as happy." "No," he agreed quietly. "It's not. What about you? Have you dated since the divorce?" "A few times. Nothing serious. Nothing that felt right." He set down the dish towel. "I didn't want to introduce Stara to someone unless I was sure it was going somewhere. She's already had enough change in her life." "That's really responsible of you." "Or maybe I was just scared of getting it wrong again, of choosing someone for the wrong reasons and ending up divorced with 2 kids instead of 1. Matthew laughed, but there was something vulnerable in it. Turns out fear is pretty good at masquerading as prudence. They moved to the living room, sitting on opposite ends of the couch with the comfortable distance of people who weren't quite ready to close the gap between them. "Stara really loves you," Matthew said. "She talks about you constantly when you're not around. Maya said this. Maya showed me that. You've become really important to her." "She's important to me too." Both of you are. Maya pulled her legs up under her. Is that what you wanted to ask me about, whether I'm planning to stick around? Partly. But also, he trailed off, seeming to gather courage. I need to know if I'm reading this wrong. This thing between us. Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like more than friendship, but maybe I'm just... You're not reading it wrong. Maya interrupted, her heart pounding. I feel it too. The relief on his face was palpable. Okay. Good. That's good. But I'm also terrified, she admitted. I haven't let anyone close in so long. What if I'm not good at this anymore? What if I'm too damaged, too broken to... Hey. Matthew moved closer, taking her hand. You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. You say that now. I'll say it tomorrow too. And the day after that. For as long as you need to hear it. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. I'm not saying this will be easy. I have a kid and ex-wife who's still very much in my life, a demanding job. You have your own stuff you're working through, but I think we could be something really good together. If you're willing to try. Maya looked at their joined hands, feeling the warmth of his skin against hers. She thought about the past 3 years, about the loneliness she'd convinced herself was protection, about birthday cupcakes eaten alone and holidays spent avoiding phone calls from well-meaning relatives. Then she thought about Saturday mornings and coffee shop laughter, about Stara's uncomplicated affection and Matthew's steady presence, about how for the first time since the accident she could imagine a future that looked like joy instead of survival. I'm willing to try, she said. Matthew's smile was bright enough to light the whole room. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't want to. His kiss was gentle, tentative, asking permission, even as it gave promise. Maya felt something inside her crack open, years of carefully constructed walls crumbling with surprising ease. They pulled apart foreheads, touching both, slightly breathless. That was... Matthew started. Yeah, Maya agreed, laughing softly. It really was. They talked until past midnight, the conversation ranging from serious to silly and back again. Matthew told her about his first teaching job, about the student who'd written him a thank you note that he still kept in his desk drawer. Maya shared stories about her brother, about the time they'd tried to build a treehouse and ended up with a glorified platform that couldn't support anything heavier than a squirrel. He would have liked you, she said at one point. Lucas, he had a good sense about people. He would have approved. I wish I could have met him. Me too. When Maya finally left with promises to see him Saturday as usual, she felt lighter than she had in years. She drove home with the windows down, letting the summer air whip through the car, and for once she didn't automatically think about the last time she'd driven at night, didn't flinch at oncoming headlights. Progress, she thought. This is what progress feels like. Stara bounced into Matthew's apartment on Friday afternoon, backpack flying, words tumbling out in an excited rush. Dad, guess what Mom's moving back? Matthew looked up from his laptop where he'd been entering grades. What lumens moving back here? Yes, isn't it amazing? She got a job at that big gallery downtown, the one with the fancy name I can never remember. She's moving here permanently. Stara was practically vibrating with excitement. She said she'll find a house close by so I can walk there if I want. I'll get to see her all the time, not just every other weekend. Wow, that's big news, sweetheart. Matthew tried to match his daughter's enthusiasm, but his mind was already running through implications. Lumen back in town. The delicate balance they'd built from distance might shift in unpredictable ways. And you know what else? Stara dropped her backpack and climbed onto the couch next to him. Now our whole family can be in the same place, you and Mom and me and Maya. It'll be like having everyone I love all together instead of spread out. Matthew's stomach dropped. Sweetheart, you know Mom and I aren't getting back together right. We've talked about this. I know. You're friends who make better friends than married people. I get it. Stara waved this away impatiently. I'm not talking about that. I just mean, wouldn't it be cool if we all lived near each other? Like maybe we could have dinners together sometimes. Or holidays. Mom could come to my soccer games without having to drive 2 hours. That would be nice, Matthew agreed carefully. I told Mom all about Maya. She's excited to meet her. She said anyone who makes Dad smile that much must be pretty special. Stara grinned. You do smile a lot more now, Dad, I noticed. Maya makes me happy. She makes me happy too. That's why it'll be perfect when Mom moves here. It's like getting a bonus level in life. More people to love, more fun times, more everything. Matthew hugged his daughter, but even as he did, he found himself wondering how Maya would react to this news. They'd been officially together for 3 weeks now, still in that early stage where everything felt new and slightly fragile. Would she see Lumen's return as a threat? Would she worry about being displaced? He called Maya that evening after Stara went to bed, needing to tell her before Stara did it herself with her characteristic enthusiasm. "Hey," Maya answered, and he could hear the smile in her voice. "I was just thinking about you. Good thoughts, I hope. The best thoughts. What's up?" Matthew took a breath. "Lumen's moving back. She got a job here. She's relocating permanently." There was a pause. "Oh, that's big." "Yeah, Stara's really excited about it. She's already planning how we'll all spend time together like some kind of modern family sitcom." "How do you feel about it?" Maya's voice was carefully neutral. "Honestly, I'm okay with it. Lumen and I are solid as friends. It'll be good for Stara to have her closer." He hesitated. "But I wanted you to hear it from me first, and I wanted to make sure you know that this doesn't change anything between us." "Okay." Something in that single word made Matthew frown. "Talk to me. What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that your ex-wife is moving back to town and your daughter is thrilled about having her whole family together, and I'm just—" Maya trailed off. "You're just what?" "I'm the girlfriend, the new person. The one with the crutch who'll be standing next to the woman who gave birth to the kid I've grown to love." Maya's voice was tight. "I'm happy for Stara, I really am, but I'm also scared that I don't fit into this picture you're all creating." "Maya, I should go. I have a client deadline tomorrow. I'll talk to you later, okay?" She hung up before he could respond, and Matthew stared at his phone, worry settling in his chest like a stone. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya became increasingly distant. She still came to Saturday, activities still smiled, and engaged with Stara, but Matthew could feel her pulling away. She turned down his invitations to dinner, claimed work projects were keeping her busy, responded to his texts with increasing delays. Stara noticed. "Is Maya mad at me?" she asked one evening. "No, sweetheart, she's just busy with work." "But she always made time before." Stara's face scrunched with worry. "Did I do something wrong?" "You didn't do anything wrong, I promise." But even as he reassured his daughter, Matthew knew he needed to fix this. He couldn't let Maya disappear back into her carefully constructed isolation, couldn't let her convince herself she didn't belong. He found her at her apartment on a rainy Thursday evening, showing up unannounced with Thai food and determination. Maya opened the door looking exhausted, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing sweatpants and an old shirt. "Matthew, I wasn't expecting you." "I know. Can I come in?" She hesitated, then stepped aside. Her apartment, usually bright and organized, looked lived in and slightly chaotic. Sketches covered every surface, and her workspace was littered with coffee cups. "Busy week?" Matthew asked, setting the food on her counter. "Something like that." Maya leaned against the wall, arms crossed defensively. "You didn't have to come over." "Yeah, I did, because you've been avoiding me for 2 weeks, and I need to know why." "I haven't been avoiding you." "Maya." He said her name gently but firmly. "Talk to me, please." She was quiet for a long moment, her eyes on the floor. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. "I saw Lumen's picture. Stara showed me on her phone. Your ex-wife is beautiful, like genuinely, effortlessly gorgeous, and successful, and whole." "Maya, let me finish." She looked up now, and Matthew saw tears in her eyes. "I know you said you two are just friends. I believe you. But Stara keeps talking about how perfect it'll be when her mom is here, how you'll all be together, and I keep thinking about how I'll look next to her, the girlfriend with the crutch, the damaged one, the replacement who isn't quite as good as the original." Matthew felt anger flare not at Maya, but at whatever voice in her head was telling her these lies. "First of all, you're not a replacement. You're not replacing anyone. And second, you're not damaged. I'm literally missing part of my leg." "So what?" His voice rose, slightly surprising both of them. "You think that makes you less beautiful, less worthy, less capable of being loved?" "I don't know." Maya's voice broke. "Maybe because look at your life, Matthew. You have this beautiful daughter and this amicable relationship with your equally beautiful ex-wife, and everything is so healthy and functional. And then there's me with my survivor's guilt and my physical limitations and my 3 years of hiding from the world. You think my life is perfect?" Matthew laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm a divorced teacher who can barely afford my apartment, who lies awake some nights wondering if I'm screwing up my kid, who gets anxious at parent-teacher conferences because what if someone realizes I have no idea what I'm doing? That's different? How? How is my insecurity different from yours? He moved closer, forcing her to look at him. We're all damaged, Maya. Every single one of us carries scars from things that tried to break us. The only difference is that some scars are visible and some aren't. Maya wiped at her eyes. I'm scared. Okay, I'm scared that when Lumen gets here and Stara sees what a real family looks like, there won't be room for me. I'm scared that I'll be the one standing on the outside looking in, watching you all be happy together while I'm just there. That's not going to happen. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Matthew took her hands, feeling her try to pull away, holding on anyway. Because Stara doesn't need her parents to get back together. She needs her parents to be happy. She needs her mom to be fulfilled and successful and living her best life. And she needs her dad to be with someone who makes him want to be better, who challenges him and supports him and makes him laugh. Matthew, she needs me to be with you, he said firmly, because you do all of those things. You make me happy in ways I didn't know I could be happy. And Lumen moving back here doesn't change that. It doesn't threaten us. If anything, it makes things easier because Stara gets more time with her mom, which means I get more time with you. But what if? No what ifs. He cupped her face gently. Listen to me. Lumen is my past. A past I'm grateful for because it gave me Stara, and we've built a good friendship from the ashes of a failed marriage. But that's what it is, past and friendship. You are my present. You're my I can't wait to see you tomorrow. You're my I want to tell you about this funny thing that happened. You're my maybe this could be forever. Maya's breath hitched. You think about forever. Every damn day, he admitted. I know it's fast. I know we've only been officially together for 3 weeks. But I fell for you months ago, Maya. That day in the coffee shop when Stara insisted on singing to you and you cried because someone finally saw past your pain to the person underneath. I fell for your strength and your creativity and the way you love my daughter like she's already yours. I do love her, Maya whispered, both of you. Then don't pull away from us. Don't let fear rob you of something good just because it feels safer to be alone. Matthew pressed his forehead to hers. Be brave enough to stay. Maya's hands came up to grip his arms, anchoring herself. What if I'm not good at this? What if I mess it up? Then we'll figure it out together. That's what relationships are, figuring things out together. He pulled back just enough to look in her eyes. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be here, to trust that you belong in this family we're building, to believe me when I say I love you. The words hung in the air between them, important and irrevocable. You love me. Maya's voice was barely audible. Yeah, I really do. She kissed him then, desperate and relieved, and full of all the things she couldn't quite say. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her face into his chest. I love you too, she murmured against his shirt. I'm sorry I got scared. Don't be sorry. Just don't shut me out again. He held her close, feeling her heart beat against his. Promise me that when you get scared, you'll talk to me instead of running. I promise. She pulled back to look at him. I want to meet her. Lumen. Officially. Not just Facebook stalking her like some jealous girlfriend. Matthew smiled. You Facebook stalked her. Extensively. She has great taste in art, and her hair is impossibly shiny. It's annoying. I'll arrange a meeting. But Maya, he waited until she met his eyes. Lumen's going to like you. How could she not? You make her daughter happy and her ex-husband happy. That's all she's ever wanted for us. You're giving her a lot of credit. She's earned it. Give her a chance. Give yourself a chance to see that this doesn't have to be complicated or threatening. It can just be good. They spent the rest of the evening eating lukewarm Thai food and talking through fears and insecurities, building understanding where doubt had tried to grow. When Matthew finally left well past midnight, Maya felt steadier. Not perfect, not without worry, but willing to believe that maybe she really did belong in this imperfect, beautiful family. She fell asleep thinking about Matthew's words, "You are my present," and let herself hope that maybe she could also be his future. The backyard barbecue was Matthew's idea, casual and low pressure, a chance for everyone to meet without the weight of formal introductions. Stara had helped him clean the patio furniture and set out paper plates, her excitement palpable. Do you think they'll be friends? She asked for the 4th time that morning. I think they'll be fine. Matthew assured her, though his own stomach was tight with nerves. Maya arrived first, carrying a fruit salad she'd probably spent too much time making perfect. Matthew saw the tension in her shoulders, the way she gripped her crutch a little tighter than usual. "Hey," he said softly, kissing her cheek. "You okay?" "Terrified, but I'm here." She managed a smile. "That counts for something, right?" "That counts for everything." Stara barreled into Maya with a hug. "You look pretty. I like your earrings. Are those new?" "I got them specifically for today," Maya admitted. "Thought I should make a good impression." "You'll make a great impression. Mom's gonna love you." The confidence of children, Matthew thought, watching his daughter bounce away to check on the potato salad. If only adults could maintain that simple certainty. Lumen arrived 20 minutes later, and Matthew felt Maya tense beside him. His ex-wife looked exactly like her social media photos, honey blonde hair in loose waves, wearing a flowing sundress, and carrying a bottle of wine. She was beautiful, Matthew acknowledged objectively, the way you might appreciate a painting without wanting to own it. "Mommy!" Stara launched herself at Lumen, who caught her daughter with practiced ease. "Hey, baby girl, I missed you so much." Lumen peppered Stara's face with kisses, making her giggle. Matthew stepped forward. "Lumen, welcome. Thanks for coming." "Of course. Thank you for hosting." Lumen hugged him briefly, the comfortable embrace of old friends, then turned her attention to Maya. "And you must be Maya. I've heard so much about you." Maya straightened slightly. "All good things, I hope." "The best things." Lumen's smile was genuine warm. "Stara says you're teaching her digital art. That's wonderful. I've been meaning to learn those programs myself, but never find the time." "I'd be happy to show you sometime," Maya offered, surprised by the sincerity in her own voice. "I'd love that." The afternoon unfolded more easily than Matthew had dared hope. Lumen and Maya found common ground in their artistic backgrounds, discussing design principles and color theory, while Stara bounced between them, thrilled to have two of her favorite people engaged in conversation. At one point, while Matthew was flipping burgers, he looked over to see the three of them laughing at something Stara had said. Maya's posture was relaxed, now her earlier tension dissolved. Lumen had her hand on Maya's arm in a gesture of easy friendship. "They're getting along," Lumen's boyfriend James observed. He'd arrived later, a quiet architect who seemed content to let Lumen shine while he provided steady support. "They are," Matthew agreed, feeling relief flood through him. "You were worried they wouldn't. Worried Maya might feel threatened, or that Lumen might be, I don't know, territorial in some way." James laughed. "Lumen's not the territorial type. She's genuinely happy you found someone. She felt guilty about the divorce, you know. Worried she'd ruined your chance at happiness." "She didn't ruin anything. We ruined it together, then fixed it together. That's worth something." "It's worth a lot. Not many people manage what you two did." After lunch, Stara convinced everyone to play badminton, which devolved into chaos, since none of them were particularly skilled. Maya sat out cheering from a lawn chair, but her laughter rang across the yard. During a break, Lumen sat down next to her. Matthew watched from where he was teaching Stara to serve, trying not to eavesdrop, but unable to help himself. "Thank you," Lumen said quietly. Maya looked confused. "For what?" "For making them happy. Both of them." Lumen gestured to where Matthew and Stara were play-arguing about the rules. "When Matthew and I split, I was so worried about Stara. About what it would do to her, how she'd cope with the changes. But she's thrived. And a lot of that is because Matthew created a stable, loving home for her. He's a really good dad. The best. But even good dads need partners. They need someone to share the weight with, to celebrate the victories with, to remind them they're more than just a parent." Lumen turned to face Maya fully. "He lights up when he talks about you. I haven't seen him this happy in years, maybe ever." Maya's eyes were damp. "I'm not trying to replace you or—" "God, no. You couldn't replace me if you tried, and I mean that in the best possible way." Lumen's smile was kind. "You're not replacing anything. You're adding to Stara's life. She has a mother who loves her, a father who adores her, and now another adult who cares about her well-being. That's not threatening Maya. That's lucky. I just want to do right by her, by both of them. Then we want the same thing." Lumen squeezed Maya's hand. "I'm glad you're part of this family, truly. And if you ever need advice about managing Matthew's weird need to have all his books organized by genre and then alphabetically, I'm here." Maya laughed, wiping her eyes. "He does that at home, too. I thought it was just his classroom." Oh, honey, that man color codes his closet. It's adorable and slightly concerning." They were both laughing now, and Matthew felt something settle in his chest. This could work. This complicated modern family situation could actually work. As the sun started to set, Lumen and James said their goodbyes. "Next time at my place," Lumen promised. "Once I'm fully moved in, we can christen the new house properly." "I'd like that," Maya said, and meant it. After they left, Stara fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from the day's excitement. Matthew and Maya cleaned up in comfortable silence, moving around each other with the ease of people learning each other's rhythms. "That went better than I expected," Maya admitted, drying dishes. "Told you she'd like you." "She's really gracious. I don't know if I could be that welcoming if our situations were reversed." "You're stronger than you think." Matthew set down his dish towel and pulled her close. "And you were amazing today. I'm so proud of you for pushing through your fears." Maya buried her face in his chest. "I love you. You know that, right?" "I know. I love you too." "Stara's right, you know. This is kind of perfect having everyone close. Our weird little modern family." Matthew kissed the top of her head. "Weird little modern family sounds good to me." From the couch, Stara mumbled in her sleep something about elephants and crowns, and they both smiled. This was their life now, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Exactly 1 year after that first Saturday morning, Matthew made a reservation at the Corner Bean. He called ahead, explained what he wanted to do, and the owner, who remembered the birthday singing incident, enthusiastically agreed to help. "You're bringing her here," Stara whispered excitedly as they got ready. "That's so romantic, Dad." "You think she'll like it?" "Are you kidding? It's perfect. It's where you met, where I sang to her, where everything started." Stara was practically vibrating. "Can I wear my fancy dress, the blue one Mom got me?" "Absolutely. This is a special occasion." Maya suspected nothing when Matthew suggested their usual Saturday coffee, even though it was late morning rather than their typical early start. She met them outside, looking beautiful in a simple yellow dress that made her dark skin glow. "Hey you," she said, kissing Matthew briefly. "Ready for our coffee date?" "More than ready." The Corner Bean was crowded as always, but Matthew led them confidently to their usual table, the one in the corner with the window view. On it sat a small reserved sign that read, "For our family." Maya's eyes widened. "Matthew, what?" "Just sit," he said gently. "Please." She sat, confusion clear on her face. Stara was grinning so wide it looked almost painful, bouncing on her heels with barely contained excitement. Matthew pulled something from his pocket, a small white bakery box identical to the one Maya had carried a year ago. He set it in front of her. "Open it," Stara urged. Inside was a single cupcake chocolate with vanilla frosting, but instead of one candle, there were two, one for the year, past one for the years to come. Maya looked up, tears already forming. "Matthew." He knelt down beside her chair, and suddenly the entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. The owner had quietly alerted other customers, and now dozens of eyes were watching this moment unfold. "A year ago, you walked into this cafe alone, looking for a quiet place to celebrate your birthday. You had a cupcake and a candle and probably expected to spend the day by yourself." Matthew took her hand. "I looked over and saw someone who needed kindness, and I offered you a chair." "You offered me so much more than a chair," Maya whispered. "You're right. I offered you my Saturday mornings, my daughter's heart, and somewhere along the way, I gave you mine too." He reached into his other pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Maya, this year with you has been the best year of my life. You've made me laugh when I thought I was too tired to smile. You've made Stara feel loved and special in ways I never could alone. You've made our little family feel complete." Stara stepped closer, barely able to contain herself. "So I'm asking you right here, where it all started, if you'll make it permanent. Will you marry me? Will you keep having coffee with us on Saturday mornings? Will you let Stara teach you soccer, even though you're both terrible at it?" He was crying now, too, smiling through the tears. "Will you be my partner, my best friend, the person I get to wake up next to for the rest of my life?" Maya couldn't speak. She was sobbing, nodding, reaching for him. "Is that a yes?" Stara demanded. "You have to say yes out loud. That's how proposals work." Maya laughed through her tears. "Yes, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." The cafe erupted in applause. Matthew slipped the ring onto her finger, a simple band with small diamonds that caught the light beautifully. Then he kissed her right there in front of everyone, while Stara jumped up and down and the owner started playing music from behind the counter. "Do we sing now?" someone called out. "We definitely sing," Stara announced, climbing onto a chair. She started immediately, her off-key voice filling the space. "For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow." The entire cafe joined in, just like they had a year ago, and Maya sat there with her hand over her mouth, overwhelmed by the love surrounding her. When the singing finished, Matthew pulled both Maya and Stara into a hug. "My girls," he said, "my whole world." "Can I be the flower girl?" Stara asked immediately. "I need to be the flower girl. It's like the rule." "You can absolutely be the flower girl," Maya assured her, smoothing down the child's hair. "Actually, I was thinking maybe you could be my maid of honor instead. Think you're up for it?" Stara's eyes went impossibly wide. "Really? That's like even more important." "You're the most important," Maya said. "This wouldn't be happening without you. You sang happy birthday to a stranger and changed my entire life." "I'm really good at singing," Stara said matter-of-factly, making both adults laugh. They stayed at the cafe for another hour, calling family members and taking pictures. Lumen answered on the second ring, her squeal of excitement so loud Matthew had to hold the phone away from his ear. "I'm so happy for you, both of you," she gushed. "Oh my God, we have to start planning. Maya, I know this amazing florist, and my friend does wedding cakes. And, Lumen, we literally just got engaged 5 minutes ago." Matthew laughed. "And time's wasting. These things take months to plan properly." They decided on a small wedding, just close family and friends, in the same park where they'd fed ducks on that first day. Autumn seemed perfect, not too hot, the leaves changing colors, nature providing its own decoration. The planning process was surprisingly smooth, probably because both Matthew and Maya were more interested in being married than in having a wedding. Lumen threw herself into helping with enthusiasm that would have been overwhelming if it wasn't so genuine. She and Maya became genuine friends, bonding over wedding magazines and cake tastings. "I'm stealing your fiancé," Lumen announced one Saturday, linking her arm through Maya's. "We have appointments. James will watch Stara." "Where are you taking her?" Matthew asked suspiciously. "Dress shopping. Don't worry, I'll return her mostly intact." Maya laughed at Matthew's expression. "I'll be fine. It's just a few hours." A few hours turned into an entire day of shopping, eating, and conversations that started with wedding dresses and ended with deep discussions about life and loss and second chances. "I'm really glad Matthew found you," Lumen said over coffee at their fourth bridal shop. "And I mean that without any weirdness. He was so careful after our divorce, so worried about screwing up again that he wasn't really living. Then you came along and he just bloomed." "He did the same for me," Maya admitted. "I was so stuck in my grief, so sure I didn't deserve to be happy again. Then this man and his daughter decided I was worth taking a chance on." "Stara told me about your family. I'm so sorry, Maya." "Thank you. It's getting easier to talk about them without breaking down. Matthew and Stara have helped with that." Maya fingered the fabric of a dress she was considering. "They've taught me that loving new people doesn't mean forgetting the ones I lost. That's beautiful and true." Lumen reached across to squeeze her hand. "You're going to be a beautiful bride, but more importantly, you're going to be a wonderful wife and stepmom. Stara is so lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one." The wedding day arrived with perfect weather, crisp and clear, the kind of October day that makes you grateful to be alive. Maya got ready at her apartment with Lumen and Stara, helping while Matthew prepared at his place, with James providing moral support. "You're shaking," James observed as Matthew tried to tie his tie for the third time. "I'm nervous." "Why, you know she's going to show up. You know she loves you." "I know. I'm not nervous about that. I'm nervous about screwing this up somehow, about not being good enough for her." "Matthew," James took over the tie duties. "That woman walked into your life carrying a single cupcake and a lot of pain. You gave her a family. You gave her joy. You gave her a reason to believe in tomorrow. Stop worrying about being good enough and just enjoy being loved." At the park, chairs were arranged in simple rows facing an arbor decorated with autumn flowers. Fewer than 50 guests, mostly teachers from Matthew's school, Maya's work colleagues, and family members. Simple, intimate, perfect. Stara walked down the aisle first carrying a bouquet and taking her role very seriously. Then Lumen, who'd agreed to be one of Maya's bridesmaids, followed by 2 of Maya's friends from her design program. Then Maya appeared walking carefully but confidently without her crutch, her father's best friend giving her away since her parents couldn't be there. Her dress was simple and elegant, her hair crowned with small flowers, but it was her smile that made Matthew's breath catch radiant and real and full of everything good they'd built together. The ceremony was short-focused on promises about partnership and patience and choosing each other every day. When they exchanged rings, Stara wiped away tears, and even Lumen wasn't pretending she had something in her eye. "I love you," Matthew whispered as they were pronounced married. "I love you too," Maya whispered back. "Thank you for inviting me to sit down. Best decision I ever made." The reception was held at a local restaurant, nothing fancy but filled with laughter and good food. Stara gave a speech that made everyone cry, talking about how Maya had taught her that families can be built, not just born into. "Some people think it's sad that my parents are divorced," she said, wise beyond her 7 years. "But I don't think it's sad at all. I get 2 homes and 3 parents and double the love. And now I get Maya forever, which means even more love. So actually, I'm the luckiest kid ever." The crowd applauded, and Maya had to excuse herself to the bathroom to compose herself. Lumen found her there, touching up her makeup. "That kid has everyone wrapped around her finger." "She really does," Maya agreed, laughing through fresh tears. "Hey," Lumen waited until Maya met her eyes in the mirror. "Thank you for loving my daughter, and for loving her father. You've given them both something I couldn't, a sense of completion. That's a gift. You gave them plenty, Lumen. You gave them each other. We gave them each other, but you gave them you. Don't undersell that." They hugged 2 women who might never have been friends under normal circumstances, but who'd found common ground in loving the same child and wanting the best for the same man. When Maya and Matthew left the reception, Stara threw biodegradable confetti that got in everyone's hair. They were spending their wedding night at a nearby hotel before flying out to a week-long honeymoon in California, but they'd promised Stara daily video calls. "Take care of my girls," Matthew told Lumen as they prepared to leave. "Our girls," Lumen corrected gently. "We're all family now." "Yeah," Matthew agreed, looking around at the assembled group, his ex-wife and her boyfriend, his daughter, his bride, his co-workers, his found family. "We really are." At the hotel, Maya stood by the window, looking out at the city lights, still wearing her wedding dress. Matthew came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Happy?" he asked, deliriously. She leaned back against him. "Did you ever think, when you invited that stranger to sit at your table, that it would lead to this?" "Honestly, no. I just thought you looked like you needed a friendly face." "I needed so much more than that. I needed a reason to start living again." She turned in his arms. "You and Stara gave me that." "We're going to have a good life together," Matthew promised. "Maybe not perfect, maybe sometimes complicated, but good. Really, truly good. I believe you." And she did. For the first time in years, Maya believed in tomorrow, in next week, in next year. She believed in the future they would build together, not despite their pasts, but incorporating them. Matthew's divorce and co-parenting arrangement, her loss and recovery, Star's boundless enthusiasm for their blended family, Lumen's place in all their lives. It was messy and modern and absolutely beautiful. "Thank you for sitting down," Matthew murmured against her hair. Maya smiled. "Thank you for asking me to." Outside, the city continued its rhythm, full of people living their lives, making their choices, building their futures. But inside that hotel room, 2 people who'd found each other in a crowded cafe celebrated the beginning of forever. And somewhere in a house across town, a 7-year-old girl fell asleep, smiling, dreaming about the family that had started with a song and was now complete. Sometimes love begins with grand gestures and dramatic declarations. But sometimes, the best times, it begins with something much simpler. Sometimes it begins with kindness. Sometimes it begins with an invitation. Sometimes it begins with just 4 words. Want to sit down.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.